Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, hello, and welcome. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Hour of Power with the Queen, where you can unlock your true potential and embrace the power within. Remember, you have the power because you are positioned for success. You are an overcomer. You are a willing vessel for growth, ready to experience the E3 journey to educate, empower, and encourage. You embody resilience in every step you take. So keep pressing. Today in the studio, we have Dr. Christy Taylor, the visionary founder of Works Solution LLC and a pioneer leader in career branding, DEIA, and organizational development. She has a rich background as a military veteran, author, certified professional career, and executive coach. Dr. Taylor has shared her experiences through lectures at Yale University, workshops for organizations like Walmart, and she has been featured in numerous podcasts and summits. So grab your notepads and your pens and get ready to experience an amazing treat. Gonna bring up our special guest for today and allow her to properly introduce herself because I know I did her no justice. So let me move out of the way and get her on the screen. How are you?
Hey Angela, how are you doing this morning? I thought that the introduction that you gave me was fantastic, but I 100% wanted to say that it's all about the connection with people. So when we talk about motivation this morning, I really want to focus on how we hype up ourselves and how we connect with other people, because you can have all the accolades in the world, but your relationships are so important. And I also just want to point out that all of those things, because I'm just a small town Mississippi girl, all of the things that I've had an opportunity to do in my life was simply because I just stepped out and tried it. Because I figured that the only thing that they could do was to tell me no. So thank you so much, Angela.
Wow, that is truly amazing. And you said one thing: step out, believing in yourself. You know that is so important in stepping out on faith. So I'm excited for you to be able to share some of those experiences that you have experienced, some of those motivational things that align with your expertise, because you are truly a leader, a coach, a lectioner. You are amazing. Your resume goes on and on. So I'm going to turn it over to you to share however you are led to share on today, to see how you can motivate the people on today. So let me move on out the way, and the floor is yours.
Hey, thank you so much, Angela. So at Work Solutions, I use a actual coaching model that is kind of based on the acronym of my business, which is WORK. So you'll notice in the name of the business, we spell it weird, right? It's WORXK, but that RX means the prescription. And so what I like to tell people is that you have the power to be the prescription for change, whether it's the prescription for change in your own life or in the life of somebody else. And we focus on making a social impact. People think to make a difference that in this world that you have to do some grand gesture, but it really is all about the little things and how you like I started off in saying, hey, this is about relationships. It's about those little things that you do to connect with people, to engage with people, and to make a difference one person at a time. So I'm going to talk through this work model of coaching, that WORXK, and then you feel free to just jump in anytime. And because I just want to share this perspective, because it's based on my experience, but probably so many people can relate. So the first thing is with work is work towards goals, open communication, resilience building, excellence in performance, and making a commitment to keep growing. Within our life, we all have experienced setbacks. I mean, in 2016, I launched my business. I initially called it Healthcare Solutions, and I was solely focused on I'm going to, work with healthcare professionals and do what I'm still doing, which was career coaching. But somewhere in that span of between 2016 and 2020, life went haywire and I had to take a step back. So I want to also put it out there that the person that you see today, I have experienced my own pain, my own challenges. I have had to overcome my own, I've even had to overcome my own self doubts. And we work so much with clients on mindset within work solutions. So when I talk about working towards your goals, it's because I truly believe in the power of setting a clear goal and understanding that even though that we may have envisioned something in our mind as this pathway is going to be straightforward, the things that you experience, those are what actually shape you into who you are to become. So in that moment when I was experiencing challenges and I thought, oh my God, all I could see was the smoke and I couldn't see through the trees, through the leaves, through the forest through the trees, as people would say. Um, if I could look back, fast forward where I am today and what has motivated me to turn my business into what it is, and in this commitment to social impact, I would not be who I was without those experiences. So what I tell people is that you do have the power to make a difference. Your experiences shape you, but in order to really get to where you have to go, you have to have clarity. You have to learn to have clarity in the fall, and you have to know how to set goals. It's all about recognizing your own potential and just moving with a sense of agency because you are clear on where you want to go. So when you talk about motivating people, it really starts with that self-motivation, right? And recognizing that everybody is experiencing a windy road on a different path, that nobody just got to where they are because it was a straight shot. And one of the ways that I like to set goals is something I'm sure that you guys have heard of before, which is using the SMART principle. I try to be very specific. I make sure my goals are measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And I'm trying to be realistic. How many of us on December 1st of last year said by the end of the year, I want to be a millionaire? Well, you only had 31 days, so what were you going to do? Buy 31 scratch offs or come up with some scheme? You got to set realistic goals about where you want to go. I think that it's completely feasible for me to say to myself that within the next 5 years, I would like to become a millionaire. But I have to do those things to work towards my goal. Now, the next thing is open communication. When we talk about how you motivate yourself, um, being effective communicator means that you also are able to set boundaries, that you are able to say, look, I think that I'm taking on too much, or I'm not going to be able to do this, and you're in a constant mode of self-assessment. So one of the things that I like to do is I make sure that I build in frequent breaks and I constantly assess before I take on something, whether it's a podcast or a project or even a task that I need to do for myself. I try to prioritize and I'm very upfront with people. Here's what I can and what I cannot do. Because you being an effective communicator is going to be essential for your success simply because it's going to allow you to set boundaries. It's going to allow you to express your thoughts uh, if you have concerns about something. And I think that we live in a time where it's easy to become overly stimulated or overwhelmed. And that a lot of times is because we don't know how to openly communicate how we're feeling about something. And you might not always express yourself in the best way in the beginning, meaning that doesn't mean that I'm not saying it's okay to scream or something like that. What I'm saying is that when you're communicating, when you're starting the process, you might not always say directly how you feel, but you have to continue to work on that. And you have to to work on evolving in that process so that you can have some room to breathe. So again, setting clear goals, working to understand yourself, being an open communicator, but that's keeping it real with yourself as well with other people. So as much as I'm talking about you creating this connection where you're telling people about your boundaries or how you feel and you're working on expressing yourself, you also have to be in a constant state of self-assessment, right? You have to also be accountable. I would say, when you talk about motivating yourself, I as a coach, what I really tell clients is like, hey, I'm your accountability partner. But even for myself, I have accountability partners, people that are friends, folks who understand my experience, that keep me accountable. But I'm also accountable to myself because in this process of building or the things that you want to achieve in order to get to your goals, you're going to have setbacks. And that's why we move into this discussion on that next phase of that model, which is resilience building. But I just want to stay on communication for a second. It's not just about telling people how you feel or setting boundaries and learning to expressing yourself in a healthy way. That piece is also about you communicating with yourself because there are going to be some roadblocks. There are going to be some days where you simply just don't want to do it, especially when you're experiencing setbacks. And I mean, Angela, you may understand this because as entrepreneurs, right? We set goals. We have things that we're striving for. We may have some good days. We have some bad days. Sometimes the bank account might hit zero. Some days it's thousands of dollars, but you got to be able to tell yourself to keep going. Now, from a career standpoint, as a coach, it's going to be the same thing. Those of you, this is a brand new year. Maybe you said, okay, I want to get to the next level in my career, or I want to start that business. Whatever it is you want to do, understand, as I mentioned earlier, that the road is not going to always be a straight path. So even if you're trying to build your career, I focus a lot on career branding. Well,
So
that's
can I ask
different thing.
can I ask you a couple of questions really quick?
Yeah.
So for that person that may be facing some challenges or feel unmotivated or maybe stagnated in where they are, how can you motivate someone that is overwhelmed or stagnated or undermotivated? How do you motivate someone?
Well, one, you got to know how to motivate yourself, right? So if you're asking me that in the context of motivating yourself, that goes back to the open communication and the self accountability that I'm talking about, right? But if you are looking at someone, friend, family member, or if you're a coach, whatever position you're in, and you just a mentor and you're trying to encourage that person, one is just really asking them those open ended questions. Sometimes people are not looking for um, you to just go in automatically and just give them advice. We still kind of really in that open communication element. People need to be listened to because how can you really understand how to motivate them or what makes them tick if you don't understand what their experiences are or what they're going through? And not being directive in the process. It's easy to be like, well, Angela, you should do this, this, and this. But when you find those things that make that person tick, you got to have a conversation around that by asking them questions and giving them the situational aspects of what could be the benefits of if they pursue a certain outcome. So you talk them through what are the possible solutions. So you're having this challenge, you're not feeling motivated, maybe your business is not getting off the ground, or your career is not going where you want it to go. Having that conversation where, why do you think this is happening? So if you could do, three things, if there was ways to solve your problem, how would you go about that? What would you do? And then getting them to really talk, you like really kind of have to do it in a coaching aspect, right? And get them to identify the solution because it's kind of like motivation to me is kind of like addressing the issue of addiction. You know how they say that a person who has a drug addiction or is addicted to something, if you try to put them in rehab, they're not going to really change until they're ready to change. So that's why people relapse, right? Motivation to me, in my opinion, works the same way. Sometimes we get these coaches who hype us up. You ever listen to a motivational video and you like hyped up, you ready to go, you ready to do and fulfill that goal, and then you deflate. That's because you're on an emotional high, right? And so when it comes to really motivating people, We really have to find what makes them tick. We have to let them figure out the solutions to their own challenges by talking them through the process, whether again we're a friend, and we have to really abstain from giving advice unless it is solicited. But we always still on the opposite end of that is to speak positive affirmations to that person. Now, I'm going to say, Angela, you can do it. My best friend just happened to be named Angela. So we're always having these conversations like, girl, you can do it. You hang in there. So you're speaking into their life, but you have to still let that person, give that person the space where they're finding their own path in their own way. Because until that person is truly ready, um, to overcome the emotional hype of what it's going to take to get them to where they want to go, then they're not going to be ready to truly build and move things forward. And I know that's probably a little bit different from what you have heard in the past, because a lot of times, people will come in and be like, you just got to speak life into them. You do, but you also have to give that person space so that they can identify their best course of action to achieve that goal, because they're going to be motivated in that, right, to continue to push forward. Otherwise, it'll just deflate. If I'm not making sense, hopefully I'm making sense there. So I know that's a little different from what other people might say, but I try to look at it holistically, because my goal really in anybody that I work with or support, even if it's just like my little sister or my best friend or people that are supporting me, is to give you the best avenue so that you can have maximum success. And that is through letting you work, supporting you in the way that you feel that this needs to be done. But of course, if I've already crashed into a wall doing that same thing that you're doing, I'm going to give you advice based on wisdom. Like, hey, I've tried this before and this didn't necessarily work for me. So you might want to reconsider. But at the same time, each person's path is their own.
Wow. So if there's someone listening and they are considering maybe um, joining your coaching program, what are some things that they can expect to take away from your program?
Hey, I really focus on you. You heard me working my way through that model. I probably was talking too long, but I was working my way through that because I really focus on resiliency building. One or two things, right? When you're working with me, I'm a mindset coach. And so I would say probably mindset more than even, I tout myself as executive, but I really focus on those mid-career professionals, getting them to the next level. And I do have some executive clients, but I would be inclined to say I'm more of a career and mindset coach, because I focus really on two things: the business of you. So when we're talking about personal branding, I tell people to function like you are a business. And what do you want to be known for in your career? So that's one, building your personal brand as if you are a business. So I don't even refer to your resume and cover letter as just a resume and cover letter. I say that's your career branding document. And then the other piece is the third piece of that coaching model, which is resiliency building. I focus a lot on mindset, because see, no matter where we go, what we're experiencing, if we're going to have these obstacles, and a lot of times it's self-limiting beliefs that keeps us from getting to where we want to go. So if you're talking to yourself in a negative way, if you have experienced adversity but you become defeated by that adversity, instead of allowing it to shape you into the person that you are to become, then you're not going to reach that potential as being a highly resilient person. Because we've all gone to job interviews and thought that it went great and then end up rejected. We've all done events for our business where you say, okay, I'm going to do a workshop and maybe 2 people show up. Well, give them 2 people your best, because when the 20 show up, you'll be ready, right? You have to learn to be more resilient. So that's what I focus on as a coach, that leads me to that X, which is excellence in performance, because I am going to be your accountability piece, but I also want to position you so that I don't become, because people think that with coaching that you're going to consistently, that coaching is a time-based relationship. Like, you should not be with the same coach for years and years and years. I try to offload my clients within 6 months, right? Or really my programs are 6 weeks, because you should be seeing change, within a few weeks, because you're having that accountability for that behavior. Now, clients who stay with me longer have reached the K, which is to keep growing. And that is just saying that, okay, you may have worked with me a year ago and we did your career branding documents, or we focused on mindset and resiliency, and we got you to that space to get you to that next level. But you're going to always continue to grow and evolve. So clients will come back to me maybe a year later and say, hey, I'm ready to move on to my next job, or 2 years later. And I'm always here for that. But clients who are working with me, you can really expect me focusing on the business of you, helping you to build your career brand and build your mindset, because I really want to position you to where you become this, independent person in this space, and you're able to keep growing.
Wow, that's amazing. You said mindset. A lot of people that is hard. Mindset. Well, what are some things that you do to help change individuals' mindset?
Um, Angela, I specialize in a specific model of coaching called rational emotive behavior therapy, and this is
Hmm.
where I even have my research based framework around it in terms of how I work with organizations, right? Because you see, like you have up there, I do DEI, all of that stuff. I have my own framework called the REBT DEI framework that I specifically use for working with organizations. But when I'm working with clients, the REBT is what is the focus, which is rational emotive behavioral therapy techniques. Now, I'm not a therapist, so I always add the word techniques. And what that piece is like you heard me walking you through that coaching model. Well, the framework itself is a cognitive model. What I try to do is to work with clients to really to get them to identify the root cause of what may be causing them to have these challenges with their mindset. Because so many times, we have these deeply embedded issues that we take with us into adulthood. Things that may have happened to us in childhood, things that happened to us even as young adults that shaped our experience. Think about experiencing racism or sexism or anything that you might have experienced that could have caused you some type of embedded trauma that you might not have necessarily realized impacted you in the way that it does. So what I try to do is, one, we get to the root cause. So a lot of times when clients come to me with an issue, it is, I promise you, it's not really the issue. The issue that a client comes to me with, unless it's a um, transactional thing, like I need a new resume, that's one thing, right? But when a client comes to me and they're talking about mindset and how they're having all of these challenges with something, I promise you that surface level thing they're talking about is never the issue. Once we start asking questions, once I start asking questions and get to the deeply rooted issue, that is the real issue, that thing that caused their mindset to be there in the beginning. So I ask a lot of questions. We identify the root cause of what positioned them to start thinking this way. Then we start to implement techniques to help them overcome that mindset. And a lot of times it's simply challenging that irrational belief. And then, you might start doing affirmations or tackling that thing head on and replacing it with the rational so that you can transition your mindset to position yourself to really be in a place of success. Because again, you have a challenge and you go, well, I'm not going to be able to do this. Well, you're not going to be able to do it if you keep telling yourself that you're not, right? And so we have to tackle the root cause of why a person is not able to do it, and then we replace it. That's what I really focus on, because that is
Wow.
how you get a person to the next level. And instead of just being superficial and going, oh well, you can do it, Angela. I mean, any of us can say you can do it, but again, that's how you are getting these emotional highs when we're just telling people on the surface level that you can do it without actually taking a deep dive into why do they feel like they can't do it, what happened, what was their previous experience or encounters that caused them to really think the way that we do. And we do this, and I mean, I'm talking about career coaching, but I mean, if you think about it, we do this whether we're dating. You might have good a potentially good spouse there, and because of something somebody did to you in the past, you cannot move forward because of those experiences. Your relationships with your parents. My clients come to me with all kinds of stuff, and it's not all necessarily career related. It just gets pushed over into that portion, right? It gets pushed over into
Hmm.
the career aspect because there's so much trickle down that's happening into their daily lives. And so if it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I'm a career coach, I'm a mindset coach, but if it gets to a point where it's like this is too deep for somebody even as a coach to be handling, I go ahead and refer them, right? And because maybe they might need actual to talk to an actual therapist. And that's what coaches need to be doing, there, making sure people get the proper level of help and support.
Wow. That. That's something that you would say that because a lot of people they won't do that. They would continue to try to coach you, and knowing that you need that next level
Mhm.
sitting on somebody's couch, because they don't told us that we supposed to be strong, and that's another thing. um the people that you surround yourself, how important is that in what you do um with your clients? Is it important for them to have a support system, or is it just necessary for them to do the work themselves?
Both are important. You know what I mean? Both are important. Now you got to do the work yourself because I can't guarantee you that you're gonna have a support system because that's another surface level thing, right? When we talk about internal, external locus of control, and that's why I say I'm a little bit different from other coaches. I live in reality. I'm not gonna tell
Mhm.
you something to hype you up. If you sometimes people are in a toxic environment, you need a support system. But sometimes people are in toxic environments and there might not be a support system available. And this is why you cannot solely rely on an external locus of control. You have to have a strong internal locus of control where you have the mindset that no matter what is happening around me, I'm focused on what is happening in me. I have to go back to this Bible verse about. I remember I had a pastor when I was 19 years old. I was living in San Antonio, and he was uh, dying. You know, he had cancer, and I remember at the last Bible study that I went to that he hosted, he was talking about, and I don't know the exact verse, but while the outer man is declining, I must consistently renew the inner man. And I am 40 years old, and that is something that has stuck with me for 20 plus years. That this man knew that he was passing away, but he still had a commitment to continuously renewing his internal. He was not impacted because he knew that he didn't have control over the external. And so I would
Mhm.
tell you that the same way is like, yes, if you have the opportunity, you want to build those strong friendships, relationships, people that are going to champion you. But sometimes if you are in an environment where you know that you don't necessarily have that type of support, you have to continuously build that internal uh, you have to build yourself up internally so that you can exit that situation. I mean, think about people who are in abusive relationships. Hopefully, you exit as soon as possible, right? But sometimes people have to build themselves up internally because they don't have that external support. And then once it's kind of like if you've ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that the most basic things that we need are food and shelter. You need those foundational things. And then as you go up that pyramid, right, you reach this level of self-actualization. And right before, if you look at that pyramid, right before self-actualization is that those relationships that you're talking about. But a lot of it's going to start with having those most basic things met. You feeling secure within yourself, and being able to take care of yourself before relying on some external resource. Now, does it help? Yes, but not everybody is in that situation.
Wow. So how can people support what you're doing? How can they stay connected with you, because you're providing a lot of information? No, it's not a lot of time to really give all that you have and what you're doing, but I want people to be able to connect with you and get some more of this knowledge, because you dropped some nuggets on today.
Well, I think to connect with us, our website is going to be the best way. I run a group for Black women called the Strategic Alliance for African American Female Entrepreneurs, i.e., the Safe Space. So that's kind of like my way of giving back and supporting my community. But you can connect with me on worksolutions.com. You can call us at 561. You can text me 561-907-6859 if you have any questions. Our email is success at work, but remember it's worksk.com. We also have a news magazine, which is workglobalnews.com. And I have a workshop coming up on the 23rd, which is the Land Your Dream Job in 2025 workshop. Again, all of that information is available on worksolutions.com. And then if you just want to connect with me directly, you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Christy Taylor. Simple as that. Dr. Christy Taylor. I'm on Instagram and I'm on there daily. So you can I'm easy to find.
Wow. You have a lot that we can get involved in. I'm excited about connecting with you and you stopping by and sharing with us, motivating us on this day. So, before we leave, I really would like for you to share something with the audience, that will motivate them, in your own way, on today.
I would just say to you that remember that if you have a vision for something, the path is not going to always be a straight path, right? You got to go with the flow, and if the road is windy, go with that windy road and hang on, because you're going to get to where you want to go. And if you find yourself facing or dealing with a challenge and you hear those negative thoughts coming to your head, sometimes the only thing that I can do is just to say stop or Lord help, right? You have to address, when I talk about open communication, that means being open with God. You got to address the negativity that might pop up in your mind, because we're human. You got to address that head on. So if the only thing you can do is say stop, you got to speak it, right? Address it immediately and move on. And the last thing I'm going to say to you is don't move in emotion, right? Don't move in emotion. Don't let somebody get you emotionally hyped up where you're not moving within rationality. And I'm not talking about not living in hope, but I'm saying don't get yourself hyped up where you're not moving with rationale. Always be strategic, never overly emotional. And when you reach or experience a challenge, navigate that process, with a sense of endurance and understanding, because that's what's going to help you to get to where you want to go.
And I do have one last question.
Mhm.
How important is, recognizing milestones and celebrating those milestones, during this process? Because
Hey,
it's a
and you,
process, right?
That's exactly why I say, the rationale. And I should have mentioned that, but yeah, celebrating milestones. Angela, it's something I believe is called the power of yet, right? And this is where you celebrate the milestone. So when you become overwhelmed, one of the things I teach my clients is when you become overwhelmed and it just seems like I'm not going to get to where you want to go, focus on the power of yet. And that's exactly what that is, which is celebrating the milestones. I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm not a multimillionaire yet, but I'm on the hour of power with Angela, right? Meaning that a year ago, I was on no podcast. I was not doing anything. So celebrate the progress, celebrate your wins, because recognize that it took something for you to get to even where you want to go. I mean, a year ago, if somebody would read my bio, I wouldn't even think that that's me, and be proud of what you have accomplished. So yes, recognize the power again. If you can't tell yourself nothing, if you have those days you can't tell yourself nothing, just say, recognize, like, I'm not where I want to be yet, but here's all that I've done. I got up this morning, I did a podcast. I'm meeting with my team later today. I'm working on a book and a song. Recognize the power of yet and celebrate them small wins, every small thing. I got a friend every day where she posts something positive about here's what I'm doing today. And if that's what she needs to do so that she can get this business off the ground, I get it. I get it, because sometimes it's hard to stay focused. But yes, I 100% agree. Recognize the power, yes, celebrating with small wins.
Wow. Well, I truly, truly thank you for stopping by and sharing with us on today. It truly has, I have truly been blessed, and I hope those that have tuned in have been blessed. Those that will hear this replay will be blessed. What you got coming up? You mentioned a couple of things, but I know you got to have something coming up that we can support.
Oh yeah, you know what? I have a workshop through Safe that I really think is a trial by fire. It's going to be presented by Coach Angela J. It is a trial by fire workshop that we are hosting, I believe, on Wednesday, and then on Thursday I have my own workshop, which is the laying your dream job in 2025. And now that trial by fire workshop, I have never had so many folks signed up for a safe workshop. It's about 60 people signed up. So maybe about half or more will show. I'm hoping all of them show. But in there, we're really going to be talking about kicking off this new year and being resilient. Well, I'm not leading that particular workshop, but it's being hosted through my organization. Again, because I try to bring on other women who are going to champion us, right, as a community. And so we have that. I literally have something going on every night this week. So, again, I have their workshops, and they can just go on worksolutions.com to learn more, or just ping me and I'll give you the Eventbrite link for
Wow.
those 2 workshops. So I got 2 workshops just this week. One I'm hosting for my organization, and one I'm actually presenting. You know.
Well, you definitely got your hands in a lot, and that's what I like to see. I love to see my women, my brown women, supporting each other. So definitely, I thank you for that and what you're doing. Definitely want to connect with you on that. I love to collaborate. I love to network. I love to partner. And however we can connect, definitely want to get you back on. Sometime throughout this year to come back and just reflect and share some more with individuals, because we know as the year go on, we either progress or we stay stagnated, and we may need a refresher. So we may need you to come back and pour some more into us. So I'm definitely going to stay connected with you, and I want to thank you for taking time to stop by on today and come and share your expertise, because I know it's not always easy to come and share. So I definitely thank you for stopping by on today. Anything else you want to share before we go?
No, and I just want to go back to that. Just I don't want to share a person, but I do want to just say thank you. And I do think it is so important that we are supportive of each other, right? And that we continue to champion each other. So I appreciate what you're doing, Angela. Thank you so much.
Amen. Amen. And this is for you. Amen. Amen. I definitely thank her for stopping by this morning, sacrificing her morning to stop by and pour into you guys, to motivate you, to educate you, to empower you, and to encourage you to stay on this journey, y'all. I tell you, it's all about setting goals, clear goals. She said the smart. She dropped some good nuggets, and I hope you had your pen in your paper out taking those notes, because she dropped some good stuff. But if you want to stay connected with her, I'm going to be posting her links. So make sure you grab the link and follow and support the things that she's putting out there, y'all, because she's dropping some great nuggets. Again, I want to thank you guys. I hope you've been motivated to go out there and to tackle some things on this week, y'all. Go out there and chase your dreams. Don't give up. Don't quit, because you've come too far. See y'all next week.